Hey, Andrew King with Cary Grant Died here with our Man on the Street segment. We're in the heart of downtown Rock Island, aka the District. Now, I've been away for 4 years, but some things never change. How am I supposed to do a Man on the Street segment without a street?
What once was epicenter of nightlife in the Quad Cities is now but a shade of its former self. Memories fading like a moon being eclipsed with regret, but not a normal moon, a crazy moon, a moon consumed by madness.
Development. Okay, so it's not all completely destroyed. There are businesses still operating down here in the district. You got that stuff over there. You got shops on Second, new businesses opening over there, and we still got the Holiday Inn with the Rock Island Ale House, aka what used to be Bennigan's. You remember Bennigan's? It's that now. So more like what was again's. Don't keep the camera on me when I...
To get up to speed with what's been going on in downtown Rock Island, I sat down with 5th Ward Alderperson Dylan Parker.
Dylan,
Hi, Andrew.
thanks so much for doing this, man.
Yeah, of course. Happy to do so. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. You just, a little bit of preamble that we were doing here, you were just saying that you're the senior alderperson now
I am.
for the city of Rock Island, when it seems to me just the other day you became alderperson.
Time flies, Andrew. Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, so how many terms are you now?
I am nearing the end of my second term, so I've been in office for a little over 7 years. I guess 7.5 years.
7.5 years, and you got an election coming up. This will be coming out in January, but your election is April 1st.
That's right. April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day, Rostok's birthday, and my mom's birthday.
It's a good day.
It's a good day.
Hopefully it'll be a good day.
You got incumbent power. I have faith.
Thank you.
So, how have you been enjoying your time as alderperson here in Rock Island?
Yeah, it has been a long journey being an alderperson in Rock Island. When I was first elected back in 2017, I frankly had no business being an alderperson in any municipality. I was a diesel mechanic. I fixed semi-trucks for a living. I have a philosophy degree. I guess I'm qualified to think about stuff, but really understanding executive functioning for large-scale organizations like a municipality, I had to learn a lot.
Sure.
I came in as an activist, right? That's my background. As a high school student and as a college student, I was an activist in politics. It was, in fact, my involvement in the 2016 Bernie Sanders presidential campaign.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, hell yeah. R.I.P., but the campaign, not Bernie. But it was my involvement as a delegate to the 2016 Democratic National Convention where Bernie was like, look, this chapter is closing, when he did not get nominated, obviously.
Rigged.
But he told all of us to go home and get involved, right? And so that's what I did. And I came home and I decided to run for city council here in Rock Island. Again, I came from an activist experience and background, no knowledge or working memory of running a large-scale organization.
Sure.
And so I've had to learn a lot. And I've had to learn a lot about working. I mean, this sounds a little cliche, but working with others, right? Like when I was first elected to city council, again, having that activist background,
Yeah.
it was, we're going to do this my way, and if you're not with me, then you're against me, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I've really had to try to.
You see how slow the mechanism is, and it's like, oh, well, I guess I can't just strong arm anybody
Right.
so easily.
Right. I mean,
Especially around here.
there are certainly times that I'm the minority on votes, and that's the way the cookie crumbles. But learning to work with people and not just be like, well, you're my enemy now, has been a learning curve.
I gotcha. So I mean, you said you were a mechanic, so it's almost like a Goodwill Hunting kind of story.
I've never seen Good Will Hunting, so
You've
I
never
don't.
seen Goodwill Hunting?
I have. This is a running
This
joke with a
interview
lot
is
of
over.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
Oh,
there's a-
I'm not the first person that said this?
No, there's a lot of movies that I have not seen.
Okay, that's fair. Well, I just remember meeting you at a party at, I think it was Josh Kahn's house. I think it was a Halloween party or something. I remember you coming in, and like someone brought in this bag of chips or something. Me and Stu Klein were eating these chips, and you're like, oh, chips! And you had the blackest hands I've ever seen in my life. Dipped your hand there, and I was like, well, I guess we're done eating those. But they were clean. I understand they were clean. They're just stained.
Stained, yes. I'm not a mechanic anymore, and I do not miss having perpetual grime underneath my fingernails. You wash them all you want, but that 80-90 axle grease does not come out.
Fair enough. Now, the main subject of why I asked you to talk with me here today is the district.
Yeah.
Rock on now. I mean, as I said in the previous part of the segment, I was out in Rhode Island for 4 years, and so I guess what I want to ask you is, what did you do?
Things have changed, Andrew.
What did you do?
Well,
I'm not. It's obviously not. It's not his fault. It's not your fault. COVID happened. Was a big thing.
Well, COVID happened, but there was a very intentional move by the city of Rock Island to say we are not the nightlife destination for the Quad Cities anymore. Very intentionally. In 2021, I think it was, the city decided to rescind the long-established 3 a.m. liquor license. As many people will remember, for a long time, the city of Rock Island allowed bars and nightclubs to remain open until 3 a.m., 1 hour later than our friends across the river in Iowa.
Right.
And so it was always the joke that you party in downtown Davenport and then careen across the Centennial Bridge
And boy, do they careen.
yeah, and end your night at the Thirsty Beaver or whatever. And so there was a movement on Rock Island City Council to eliminate that extra hour difference. There was a sentiment from some of my colleagues on City Council that nothing good happened after 2 a.m.
I've heard that.
Fights and barfing and street corners and urinating and all sorts of fun stuff. And so,
Oh my.
yeah, exactly. So, so after a pretty hard-fought effort, the majority of the city council voted to rescind the 3 a.m. license. I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, it was a 4-3 vote.
Wow.
So it was close.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the 2 a.m.ers prevailed, and now bars have to close at 2 a.m. here in Rock Island. So that, when the business owners down here in the district argued in favor of keeping the 3 a.m. license, they made the point that a lot of their sales take place in that hour between 2 and 3
Well,
a.m.
sure, because half the game is gone.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it would negatively impact their bottom line. And turns out they weren't bullshitting, and they lost a lot of sales and closed. That combination with COVID and just sort of the lingering attitude changes about nightlife and drinking. There's more sober movements happening in our country, and that sort of lifestyle, that sort of partying thing, doesn't seem to be as popular as it once was. And so a combination, in my assessment, of COVID, the bars having to be closed at 2 a.m., and frankly, the district not innovating and remaining relevant to the tastes and interests of consumers, resulted in its current status.
Interesting. Yeah, I I don't know how much I could really accredit to a sober movement, just because this is the Midwest and that's mostly all there is to do. But so with the need of innovation,
Yes.
is there any kind of, I mean, you work with plenty of city people. Is there any kind of inkling of what kind of innovation they're leaning toward? Because, again, bars close, elimination of 2 a.m. I thought they were eliminating new liquor licenses altogether. At least that's what the sentiment is. Although, one time when I was back, I was looking at opening a place, and the mayor was going to give me one because it was an event space, not just a bar.
Right.
So I mean, it's not a complete moratorium. It's just that you have to have a good reason for selling liquor, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that still the case?
There was a movement by the mayor to withhold liquor licenses in the downtown specifically for bar only. The entire time we would allow liquor licenses for like restaurants, for example. If you wanted to open up a restaurant that served alcohol in downtown Rock Island, that was fine. There was no objection there. But there was a moratorium on bar-only liquor licenses in downtown Rock Island. So, yes, a very intentional desire to diversify the portfolio of downtown Rock Island.
Oh, that's good. It's a good word, portfolio. I like that a lot. But so retail is such a seemingly thing of the past now because of COVID and things like that. And so bars also being disincentivized from being in downtown. So what can be done with all of these empty spaces in the district?
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. There's a
lot of them.
whole lot of real estate signs plastered around. And I'm not saying there's nothing down there. There's still, I want to say, like when Khalil and I were just down there, it's like, I want to say like maybe a third, maybe a quarter occupied.
Yeah.
So there are people down there trying to do stuff.
Right. Yeah, we continue to get investment. We continue to get new businesses that open up, and long-standing established businesses have been there for a long time. And frankly, I get a little upset when people say there's nothing in downtown Rock Island. I understand. Yes, nobody's ignorant to the fact that there is an enormous amount of vacancy in downtown Rock Island. But that, to say that there's nothing in downtown Rock Island overlooks a lot of long-standing institutions in downtown Rock Island that frankly don't, John at Huckleberry's does not deserve, who has stuck it out for 30 years, does not deserve to have people say, there's nothing downtown. John runs a really impressive business in downtown Rock Island and always has, and he doesn't deserve to be treated that way, frankly. But I do hear your point. There's a lot of vacancy in downtown Rock Island.
Yeah. Is that, again, do you theorize it's just a lack of ideas, or are prices too high? Or is it the combination of both?
Yeah.
What do you suppose? I mean, I struggle to think of what can be done with all that space. It's a lot of space.
It is a lot of space.
It's a lot of space that used to be for bars.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like you have to reshape a whole,
Right.
vibe, a whole paradigm of
Right.
what this area is supposed to be.
Yeah. The challenges for downtown Rock Island is not a single thing, right? We have a lot of different things going on that create a tangled mess of how do we start improving downtown Rock Island. And, frankly, since sort of the collapse of the district, like I said, during COVID, and let's be real, like the district had its heyday in, I would argue, the 90s, and it's been hanging on for a while, like Gen X got the glory days of the district, and then us millennials kind of were able to enjoy Blue Cat for a hot second there, but then, so
I still love Steve's.
Steve's and Steve's, but it's been, the need for innovation has been present for a long time, and we just, we kept on riding that same trick pony for a long time and needed to change. But, I have really started from the basics. The thing that I identify, being on city council is interesting because, I don't really do anything. When we talk about downtown Rock Island, I'm not a business owner. I don't create businesses. It's very behind the curtain, behind the scenes sort of work that a municipality does in improving a place. And it's very institutional. right? Like it's not like playing SimCity where it's like I'm going to put a coffee shop here and a bar there or whatever. But it's
a lot of your power is advocacy.
Advocacy, but also creating institutions that can do the work that needs to be done. For example, the first thing. So I remember when in 2021, when the bars were closing and all that stuff, we hosted a town hall basically in City Hall chambers for the public to, let's just have a big old open air vent about downtown. And like 70 people came.
Oh, wow.
And publicly spoke. It was a long meeting.
Wow.
And it was just the biggest public airing of grievances you've ever heard. Just people were furious.
Is there tape?
There's tape. There's tape. And really what became apparent is that we lacked the institutional foundation of getting things done in downtown Rock Island. It was like, who's kind of responsible for this stuff? There was everything from, you need to pick up the litter. You gotta pick up the garbage. The two resounding things that came out of some of those public meetings was downtown Rock Island needs to be clean and downtown Rock Island needs to be safe. Those are the two things that I overwhelmingly hear all the time from constituents about downtown Rock Island. You're not going to get a business to move into downtown Rock Island. I don't care what your real estate is if nobody feels like it's clean and safe, right?
Sure.
There was, who's responsible for pitching these locations? Yes, there's realtors and sort of the private sector side of things, but from a public or a public-private partnership aspect, who is 40 hours a week hitting the ground, trying to sell downtown Rock Island? And it became apparent, we're all kind of looking around and we're like, there is nobody, The city has an economic development department, but frankly, they're a small but mighty force and spread out across the entire city, not just focused on the downtown. And a place like a downtown in any city needs constant attention, special attention.
Sure.
So the first thing that we decided to do is to explore the creation of a special service area in downtown Rock Island. And this is where the wonky, bureaucratic, fun stuff, this is what I love, frankly, on city council. Like, this is where I thrive. It's like, wonky policy discussion, I'm there. But a special service area in Illinois statute is basically a geographic area that you levy additional property taxes on, and then those property taxes fund programming and services for that geographic area. It's very similar to a TIF, but a TIF doesn't increase the property taxes, but a different story. We can talk about TIFs if you want.
I already know actually a little too much about it.
All right, there we go. We don't have to talk about it. But we explored the creation of a special service area in downtown Rock Island. And frankly, it was the most insightful and interesting experiences I've had on city council. There was majority support from business and property owners in downtown Rock Island. It was a rare luxury to be a politician and to have your constituents say, tax me, please. That doesn't happen very often. And of course, there were detractors. Not everybody wanted
commies.
to. Yeah, exactly.
One of those guys.
But there was a lot of support for that.
Wow.
And so we did. We created a special service area in downtown Rock Island. And that generates, in combination with some extra funding from the city, it generates about $500,000 every year to program services in downtown Rock Island. Then we're like, okay, we got some money to throw at this problem.
Yeah.
But who's going to do it? Are we going to have Public Works do it or something like that? Public Works can't do it. Look at the roads. They already have a hard enough time taking care of the city as it is. And so we partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, similar to what they do in Davenport.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what was the chamber doing during all this time?
Well, the city originally partnered with the chamber to explore the creation of a special service area.
Oh, okay.
So the city contracted with the Chamber of Commerce $250,000 for 3 years, I think it was, to explore the creation of a special service area. And that is how Jack Cullen was hired as executive director for the Rock Island Downtown Alliance.
You should talk to him too.
You absolutely should talk to him. It's a great story. It's a great story. But Jack's job was 40 hours a week going around talking to people like Ben here at Rostox and say, hey, we got this crazy idea. We're going to create a downtown place management organization. We're going to fund it with a special service area, and we're going to do all the stuff that people have been asking us to do for a long time, like pick up the litter, pick up the dog poop, and be able to offer services to people experiencing quality of life crises in downtown Rock Island, and a variety of other services for the downtown. So once we had that special service area created, we took the funding that was being generated from that and partnered with the chamber to create the new Rock Island Downtown Alliance.
I saw a logo for that.
Yeah, it's a nice logo. Ben was part of the task force that created the logo.
I've heard.
Yeah, he did a good job.
He did a great job.
But we created the Rock Island Downtown Alliance, which has a board of directors made up of stakeholders here in downtown Rock Island, business owners. Ben was, I'm not sure if he still is, but was on the board of directors. That then dictate, what are we doing with this funding? And what we've done is we've hired, like I said, Jack Colin, but also downtown ambassadors that go around. They're the guys walking around with the big old rolling trash cans and the garbage pickers and stuff like that, and they pull weeds.
Those guys are ambassadors?
That's their title, downtown ambassador. But
Somebody got conned.
but they go around and spruce up the place.
Nice.
Another thing that I'm very proud of, I mentioned it previously, like I said, we do have a lot of individuals experiencing quality of life crises in downtown Rock Island, a lot of issues with homelessness, mental health, stuff like that. And, historically the solution has been call the cops, arrest them, and then they go into jail and then they come right back out, and it just is an endless
Usually
cycle.
angrier.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't.
A little cranky.
It doesn't do anything. But what these ambassadors do is that they build relationships with these populations downtown, and they try to connect them with services to help them address the situations going on in their lives.
Oh, wow.
I'll give you one anecdotal example. A month ago, there was.
We have to take a break. No, I was kidding. Go ahead.
There was a couple that were living out of their car down here in a parking lot in downtown Rock Island, and a business owner had noticed them and reported it to the Downtown Alliance. The operations manager for the Downtown Alliance drove over there and made connections, said, hey, can I help you? What's going on? We don't want to see you living in your car in downtown Rock Island. So, well, we'd like to move on, but the car doesn't run. It's broken, And it's like, well, what do you need? I'm like, well, I think it's an alternator. And DeAndre, the operations manager for the Downtown Alliance, drove them to an auto parts store, got an alternator, brought them back, helped them fix their vehicle, and off they went. So that's the level of service, whether it's referring people to housing downtown or job opportunities. Different services.
Just basic kindness.
Just basic human kindness. You look like you're having a rough time. Can I help you out? And they really do a good job.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, and so like I said, how do we fill these vacant storefronts? Well, you got to get downtown Rock Island clean and safe, and we're working on it. That was the number one goal for the first year. We're in our second year of the Downtown Alliance being in existence, and that was the first year goal. And then we're building on that. So things like event programming. In this coming week, we have the first ever holiday tree lighting ceremony in downtown Rock Island. Down there in Arts Alley, it's been an enormous amount of work that's been going on in Arts Alley. But now we have a Christmas holiday tree. And we're going to have the ceremonial, lighting. The mayor's going to flip the switch or whatever. But and then there's market stalls and different vendors will be there every weekend through the holidays selling their products. And it's sort of event programming like that where we've had Arts Alley for a long time.
Yeah.
It hasn't been really much of anything.
It's been an alley.
It's been an alley.
And there's art in it.
And there's
a tree in it.
I don't even know. There's marginal art in it. There's like a single sculpture. It's not much.
Isn't that where the mural is? One of the new murals?
Well, but I'm talking historic.
Oh,
We've had that
historically,
alley
that's
for
what you're
like 30 years.
Was it always called Art Alley?
Since the building there was torn down. There used to be a building there.
Oh.
And then the idea when it was torn down was, well, what are we going to do with this empty space? Turn it into Arts Alley. And they stuck a single
I thought
sculpture.
it was just recently turned in, called Arts, dubbed Arts Alley.
It's been Arts Alley for a long time.
Oh.
But my point is that we are starting to program Arts Alley and
Cool.
bring people there. Previously it was just an alley. What are you going to do?
Yeah,
But
right.
like I said, the vendor stalls and the Christmas holiday tree lighting and all that stuff is going to bring people to this place. The hope being, that strip of Second Avenue has got a lot of vacancies. The old Thirsty Beaver and Rumors, or Chantilly Lace years ago. There's a lot of vacancy on that block, and the hope is that organically, if you continue to program events and bring people to these strategic locations in downtown Rock Island, maybe some entrepreneur will be down there shopping for the holidays, and they'll look over and they'll see the old Chantilly lace and think, I've been thinking about a bicycle retail shop. Maybe I could put it there.
Yeah.
And so just sort of creating opportunities for people to be like, could I do that? And frankly, changing the narrative and what people imagine in their heads of downtown Rock Island. Because for so long, downtown Rock Island has been bars, nightlife. And so having things like Christmas holiday tree lightings, or you can bring your family, is trying to flip that on its head and say, no, we can do more here. And if you have an idea, we're game to play.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I endorse that heartily.
Thank you.
Well, Dylan, thanks again so much for being here and doing this for us. Really appreciate it.
Happy to do so, Andrew. I love downtown Rock Island. I moved to Rock Island because of downtown Rock Island. Spent a lot of time down here, still do. I'm very passionate about it, and so I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my favorite place.
Will you vote for this guy already? I would, but I live in Davenport.
Do you want us to overdub you saying holiday or Christmas for Christmas tree? Or do you want to be Christmas tree or do you want to say holiday tree? So I think it'd be kind of funny if we overdub you saying holiday tree.
Yeah,
You wanna do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Look at the camera and say holiday.
Holiday.
I'm doing that for sure.